Welcome to the Childcare Genius podcast, proud to be the world's #1 community for brilliant childcare leaders. Each episode will feature interviews with the brightest minds in the childcare industry to guide you into becoming a smarter business leader. Our hosts have opened 10 schools while raising 5 children. They are certified business coaches and are the top-selling childcare business book authors of all time. This episode is sponsored by Elif Childcare Insurance. Give Blake a call at 972-232-2258 to get a free quote on childcare business insurance today. Let's welcome to the Childcare Genius podcast our hosts, Brian and Carol Duprey.
Welcome to episode 63 of the Childcare Genius podcast. I am your host, Brian Duprey, and I'm excited to be here with you today. Carol is actually in Massachusetts right now. We've been trying to get all of our kids and grandkids together for an event. We were going to take them to Florida. We're going to take them to Jamaica. You know, our kids have their own lives now. Some of them are married. They have children. 3 of the 5 have children. So it's hard to get everybody together. So Carol had been wanting to do this for a while. So we were going to take them down to Six Flags down in Massachusetts this weekend. And it didn't work out because the weather wasn't going to cooperate. So we decided to take them down to the Great Wolf Lodge down in Massachusetts. So that's where we're heading. That's where I'm going to be heading down tomorrow. She actually left this morning. And so a nice family event. We got all our grandkids, of all 7 of our grandkids together at one place, having a good time. So Carol left early this morning so she can get down there with the kids, they could have a fun day. I stayed behind. And I will be joining them tomorrow. So I'm flying solo today. I'm going to be doing a podcast episode on time management, which is one area that a lot of you are struggling with. I've talked to a lot of my Childcare Genius University students. I've been coaching them for a while, and it seems like time management is one of the areas that a lot of people struggle with. Before we get started, I want to let you know that next week's episode, Carol will be back. And we are going to be announcing probably the most important, amazing announcement we've ever announced in the history of Childcare Genius. So make sure you tune in to next week's podcast, episode 64, where we unveil an amazing new secret that we're going to be launching. And it's going to knock your socks off. Something really, really exciting. But anyway, can't wait for Carol to record next week. And we've got some amazing speakers lined up for the next few weeks to take us to the end of 2023, and an amazing agenda lined up for 2024 for the first 2 months. We got some great speakers lined up. So stay tuned on the Childcare Genius podcast. So let's get into time management. So if you're an owner or a director and you're listening to this, first of all, thank you for finding the time to listen to it. You've done the first step. You found time to educate yourself. You might be on the treadmill right now. You might be on an elliptical machine. You might be driving down the road. That's all good. You're what we call time compounding. You're doing something, more than one thing at one time. You know, driving is a very tedious task. It's a kind of a waste of time. You're able to get some education out of it. I know while I'm on a treadmill or I'm on the elliptical machine, the Stairmaster, I am always listening to Audible and audiobooks and podcasts myself. I call it time compounding. I'm compounding my time, doing multiple things at once. Great use of time. But if you do have the time to block it out, to sit in your office and listen to this podcast, that's even better, that you were able to 100% get some focused time without doing anything else, without distraction, or maybe even listening to me while you're going to sleep. And by now, I've already probably put you to sleep. I hope not, but maybe you're getting it subliminally while you sleep. I do have one of my clients who listens to podcasts all night long while they sleep. Don't recommend that, because your brain needs to turn off and rest and get that restful sleep. But maybe for the first half hour, I wouldn't definitely listen to me when you're falling asleep. That's probably not that good. But anyway, something calming and soothing would be good before you go to sleep. Now, what does your day look like? A lot of owners and directors, they check their email, they do social media management, maybe they have some one-on-ones to do, they're helping with their director, they're filling in for teacher potty breaks, dealing with behavior issues. Maybe they have to drive the bus, make lunch, covering a classroom, Maybe they have a new applicant coming in for an interview. They have to onboard a new teacher. Maybe they have to fire a bad teacher. They have to clean up a spill, give a tour to a new family, answer the phone, send a message to parents, deal with a delinquent parent, maybe see a licensing surprise visit, posting a help wanted ad on Indeed, maybe listen to a child care podcast. You're sneaking me in here, dealing with a maintenance issue. Maybe you have to plunge a toilet, making sure the kids go outside, doing a fire drill, helping with a rough drop off, terminating an out of control child, changing a diaper, answering texts from your family, teacher no show for some. How do you get this all done? Because some of you guys do everything I just said before lunch on Monday. How do you do it? You are amazing. The problem is a lot of times we get our days so filled with all these fires we have to put out. We're putting a fire person hat on, we're walking around and we're always putting out fires. We have our little hose and, we're pouring our water on these fires and we don't have any time for anything else because we are the problem solvers as the owner. And a lot of times the people I deal with and coach are owners that have a director that's perfectly capable of putting fires out themselves. But the owner somehow feels like it's their responsibility to do this job too. And that's where the problem lies, because you do have to do the important things like pay your people, like collect parent tuition. Without those two things, teachers stop working if you stop paying them. I found that out the hard way a long time ago when I forgot to run a payroll. They just don't like it very much when you don't pay them. And the parents will like it when you forget to charge them. They'll love that. But that's not good either because it's not a good way to run your business. And the IRS, they're going to want their money too. Maybe your landlord, he wants to get paid. Maybe the electric company wants to get the lights turned on. So with all these things you have going on, it is going to be a major problem if you can't get things done and manage your time properly because there's never going to be enough hours in the day. Never going to be enough hours in the day to do the things you want to do. So you have to prioritize. So I'm going to give you a couple techniques and tips. Now, first of all, we all have the same amount of time. If you're a billionaire or you're a homeless person, you're all given the same amount of time. We all have 24 hours a day, 1,440 minutes a day. We all have 86,400 seconds each and every day. But the difference between you and somebody else who's good at managing their time is the effective use of it. Somebody who's a billionaire and somebody who's a homeless person, again, have the same amount of time. It's what they do with their time that makes the difference and how we prioritize it and also how we delegate and allow other peoples to magnify our time. So childcare owners and directors face unique challenges. We have staffing that we have to schedule. We've got budgets we have to do. You've got to market your center or nobody's going to come. You've got to worry about curriculum, supplies, shopping, ordering. You got to do enrollment. You got to do billing. You got to make sure that you bill all these different agencies. You got to deal with problems. You got to deal with maintenance. You got to deal with licensing and accreditation. There is just so much to do. And sometimes we don't know how to prioritize. Let's talk a little bit about time thieves. Now, time thieves are something that want to rob your time. And there are some ways that you can improve it. So I'm going to give those to you here in a minute. But let's talk about some time thieves that will steal your time. You have that 86,400 and the time thieves are coming for your time each and every day. If you ever saw the movie Langoliers, that was a little bit about time and how time gets eaten up behind you. I don't know why I even talked about that. My ADD sometimes goes off track. But that just reminds me of time thieves, somebody trying to steal your time. An unorganized work environment is a big time thief. Excuse me. If you're not organized in your workspace, you're going to spend more time looking for stuff. Have you ever spent time looking for your keys or maybe something on your desk or maybe a bill that you're supposed to pay? I've always been told to handle things one time. So the first time you pick up something, deal with it. Don't put it somewhere else because if you don't deal with it now, you're going to have to try to find it later, unless you have a very organized system where you put everything, which a lot of people do not. Technology issues, another time thief, dealing with technology, checking email. Social media is a major time thief. Checking reels, watching other people live their life. I'm always of the belief that I want to play the game of life, not watch other people play that game of life. I don't watch sports. I'm not a sports guy. You know why? Because I don't want to use what valuable time I have watching somebody else live out their dreams. I would rather live out my own dreams and have people watch me live out my dreams. Well, how are you going to be? How's that time thief going to be for you? So how often are you checking social media? Everybody's lying on social media. So why do you like looking at other people's posts where they're embellishing their life? Deep down, they're probably miserable. So why are you spending all that time looking and trying to get likes for your own posts? Change, prioritize your time. What about unnecessary meetings? Sometimes we have these meetings just for the sake of having meetings. We got to have meetings this, meeting this, got to have all these one-on-ones with our staff members. You don't have to have a one-on-one with each staff member every single week or every single month. Find that time. The people that need the most help, spend the most time with. But your teachers that are doing great, don't need you to meet with them very often because they're doing their job and they don't like the meetings either. So unnecessary meetings are a big time thief. Multitasking, trying to do two or three things at once and just doing a not a quality job on three things instead of taking your time and doing one thing at a time and getting it done to perfection and then moving on to the next task. You're trying to do two things or three things at once and then you do things to an 80 or 90% perfection rate, and that's not good either. Poor communication, not communicating or delegating properly. So you have to come in and do the work again after because it was not properly communicated. That is a time thief. Distraction, shiny objects. This is something I suffer with having ADD. I get off on tangents a lot. I can see a shiny object, squirrel, squirrel. I've said that before. Just something that will take my attention away from me. That is a huge distraction. I have to constantly focus myself to make sure that my ADD doesn't kick in and I'm going down a rabbit hole of a email chain with somebody or social media and reels. That's why I can't look at reels. I'll never stop because it's a constant thing because you just want to see it and watch it to the end. And some of these things are so freaking stupid. I don't know how they would, but you only have so much time left on this planet, and to give these idiots on social media any of that valuable time you have, it just blows my mind. Some of these stupid reels that I see. But anyway, maybe you like them, maybe don't. Anyway, sorry, you know me. I'm just going to tell it like it is. Overcomplicating tasks. Sometimes as owners, we're perfectionists. Everything has to be perfect. We overcomplicate things. That could be a time thief. Perfectionism, again, time thief. Not delegating, trying to be everything to everyone. As an owner, you cannot solve every problem at the center. You have to be able to delegate, and not delegating to your team. You feel like the hero. You feel like your world is making sense. And some of you, as owners, maybe your home life is not the perfect. So you find that you can escape inside your work. And it's the one area of your life that you have total control over. And you're going to make sure you control every facet of that group. And that's why some of you haven't been able to get a second center because you have so much control over that first school that you don't want to ever let go of that control because in your world, that makes sense. And you'll never get number two if you can't let go of number one. Again, as I said 100 times, your second school is the hardest to open. And that's why most owners only do one because they never want to let go of that first one. It's something makes sense to them and it just easy to control. And if they say, if I'm working 40 hours a week now or 50 hours or 60 hours in center one, I don't have another 40, 50, 60 hours to work in center number two. And that's not how it works. 10 schools are much easier to run than one. And people don't believe me, ask any multi-center owner and they'll tell you it's not any more work running 5 than running 1, and you get paid 5 times as much. Actually, it's 10 times as much. But we'll discuss that another day. Lack of clear priorities and unnecessary interruptions are the last time thieves. So there are a lot of them out there. So make sure you prioritize tasks. Do you have to-do lists? Do you write everything down? What's your system? So there's a couple different ones. You could be a writer, meaning that you have like a daily planner and you write things down there. So I do this every day. I take a yellow legal pad out and I write out my to-dos for that day. So this is my system of doing it. I don't do it electronically. I do much better writing it on paper. Find out what works for you. Just get it down. I call it task dumping. I dump all my tasks I want to get done for that day, and then I prioritize them: A, B, C, D. I might have 6 A's, I might have 3 B's, I might have 4 C's on the list. And then I prioritize my A's: A1, A2, A3, A4, of what I think is a priority to get done for that day. And then I will get to work on my tasks. Now, there's things what you could do called time blocking. And if you look at my calendar, you'll see I block a lot of time for different things. I'll block time for creating slides. I block time for podcasts. I block time for coaching calls. You need to block time for payroll. You need to block time for creative thinking, for marketing, things that you have to get done in a week. That if you don't block the time, it's going to come get you. And all of a sudden you realize, oh my God, I forgot payroll. I didn't block it down. So you need to block the important things out. And then you need to also block out creative time, marketing time, things your business. And you need to find time that nobody's going to interrupt you. And we'll talk about that a little bit later on. There's a thing called the Pomodoro technique that I absolutely love. And so you set a timer, get an egg timer, get an electronic timer, put it on your watch. Just tell your watch to set a timer for 25 minutes and then go to work on whatever on your task list, whichever an A priority, A1, A2, A3, whatever, and then work 25 minutes on that task. And then when the timer goes off, take a 5-minute break and then go do it again. 25 minutes nonstop on that one project and then take a break. And you keep doing that every fourth break, then you take a 30-minute break. You will get a lot done that way. If you have a long project, it's going to take you a couple hours. This is the best way to do it because you could, even me with ADD, I could stay laser focused for 25 minutes. And then I just take my 5-minute break. I go, I look at the lake, I clarity, I get a coffee, get some water, and then I come back and bam, 25 more minutes straight. And I find it really works good for me on the Pomodoro technique. Make sure when you set goals that you're setting them specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. So make sure your goals are SMART goals. Whenever you're setting a goal of things that you want to get accomplished, make sure you minimize distractions. If you're doing Pomodoro for 25 minutes, make sure you turn your phone on do not disturb for those 25 minutes. You could turn it back on. Right now, my phone is on do not disturb mode. You can see right there, DND. And while I'm recording this, I don't want to be interrupted. Hopefully my dogs cooperate and they don't bark at the UPS guy. They're in the other room. But I've thought about all the possible interruptions that can happen. And that's what you need to do when you're doing these management techniques and these Pomodoro techniques or time blocking, is to anticipate things and only tell your staff to only bother you in case of an emergency. And I'll give you another take that'll help you out later. So minimize those distractions. Delegate tasks. We talked about that earlier. The more you can delegate and get off your plate, the better. Remember, you don't have to, when you delegate something, it doesn't have to be perfectly the way you would do it. Even if they do it to 60 or 70%, you have to clean up and do a little bit of work on it. It's still better, excuse me, to work 20 minutes on something than 2 hours because somebody else did 80% of the work or 70% of the work. They got it there and it made it easier. You don't have to redo it. You just start where they did. So delegating is very important. Take breaks. Take breaks. Don't just work 8 hours straight. You will get more work done taking breaks and having clarity time. If you work 6 hours in a day and have 2 hours worth of clarity time and breaks, you'll get more work done in those 6 hours than you would have got done in that 8 hours because your mind is rested. So when you are working, you are really clear-headed because you're laser focused because you're not tired. The last 2 or 3 hours of the day, if you haven't had a break, you're not very productive in that time, and you're gonna make mistakes. You don't wanna make mistakes on payroll. You don't wanna make mistakes with parent tuition. Those mistakes are costly. So make sure you're doing those things early in the day when you're the freshest. Get your little caffeine boost, right after lunch, big turkey dinner for lunch or turkey lunch. Probably not the best time to do payroll because you're gonna get a little tired. So do important, very important tasks earlier in the morning instead of later in the day. Another thing is learn to say no. Don't be a yes person. It's okay to say no. You can delegate. You don't have to be everything to everybody. Saying yes to everything gets you in trouble because you run out of time. consider a stoplight approach. If you put a red light, yellow light, green light on your office, if there's a red light, they cannot disturb you for any reason unless it's an absolute emergency. And I tell you, a kid better be bleeding in that kind of emergency or a bad situation. That's a red light. A yellow light is something that's important, but not life threatening. And green is they can interrupt you anytime. So I would start out with red lighting 20, 30 minutes a day and find that time that you can get things done uninterrupted. Payroll, billing, important things. And then slowly work up. And a lot of the people that I coach, I get them to basically they're red lighted most of the day, meaning they're not even working in the school. I've taken clients that I've worked with that were in the school making every decision. I'm thinking of one right now down in South Carolina that I've been working with her for a while. When I first started working with her, she was in the center making the decisions, stressed out, bringing her work home, and it was really literally driving her crazy. And her husband did not like her bringing work into bed every night, doing emails, things like it just did not work. So we totally changed her mindset on this, and we taught her how to delegate. We taught her to get out of her school and work from home. And that's what she does now. And she's living her best life. She can take vacations now, get away from her school. And her school has never run better than it did when she was there all the time because she has the right people in place. It takes a while. We've been working with this couple for 10 months. It took us a while to get it around. But now she bought her life back and is living her best life because of it. And it's all because of time management. She got a handle on her time, was able to delegate it, and was able to red light a lot of her day by working at home and just not getting those interruptions and setting boundaries for sure. So that is it on the time management. I hope this helped. If I could help you in any way with your time management, if you're a center owner, you want to hop on a quick call with me. I only do these calls with center owners. Just go to childcaregenius.com/coaching. I'll hop on a quick call. I'll give you some techniques that you could use or drop me an email. Brian@childcaregenius.com. I return every email. I don't have a VA going through my email. I do return every email personally. I will respond to you. I am here. I am a servant leader. I serve the childcare community. I'm here to help you. Please reach out to me if you're struggling and you just need a little bit of help. Brian@childcaregenius.com. I will be happy to help you. So Carol will be back next week. Again, we've got a major announcement next week. We are going to be excited, and I can't wait to tell you what's happening at Child Care Genius. So this concludes episode 63 of the Child Care Genius podcast. Thank you again for taking time out of your busy life and carving time out. So I'm proud of you for time blocking and listening to this episode. And we'll don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't want to miss an episode of the Child Care Genius podcast. And Carol and I will see you next week. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Childcare Genius podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please do us a favor and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a future episode. Don't forget to visit our website at childcaregenius.com to see a list of services we offer to help grow your childcare business. Until next time, thank you for being a part of the Childcare Genius community.